Well, who might you be?
Go on. Kill it. It will kill you. I will rein you in. Ain't nothing that stops the book hunter. So, where are we? Hold on, I must read. Be quiet. Going.
We're going to Bruma, you fucking monster. I guess you are? What are you?
I'm beyond even your comprehension. Time mage. I transcend time, whereas you merely walk through it. Would you two stop talking? As if I'm not here.
Oh! Oh!
I'm sorry, Book Hunter.
I don't care.
Shut up.
We're both in agreement on that. You need to shut up. Fine. But I slaughter what I want.
I don't like the sound of that, Book Hunter.
Neither do I.
Good morning. Yes?
Do you know any rumors? Anything that could help
We're
me?
all talking about the Emperor's murder. We have no Emperor and no heir. That's...
I don't care about your emperor. I need decursifying.
Bye.
town. But we could kill before. Let's move. What are you? It's my armor. I control what's in my armor. Smabb, do something.
I'm sorry, but
What do you mean you're sorry? Fucking help me.
I gotta... Well, I guess you'd call it a summons. I'll be back in a bit.
Summon what? See? Even he's gone. Now I hold the... What do you call it? Camera? I swear I will destroy you. Oh, many of my hosts have tried. To their doom. Aw, dead end. That sucks. The less souls for you, the better. Maybe we go this way. No. No fun. How do we get out of here? Normally I'd just climb, but something's stopping me. Ah, I made it. You mean, wait, no, I mean, I. If all you're doing is controlling me, now and then, speaking to my head, you're not really part of my equation. Oh, come on. I've taken the bodies of a pirate, a lowly peasant, and an honor-bound knight. I've never been bound to a book hunter before. Do you really just hunt books? I dungeon delve. Really? Because that was a I know it was a failure, so quit. Talking to you is exhausting. Why can't you just be quiet? I like conversation. Can you blame me? I was stuck with that honor-bound fighter for 10 years. That's a long time. Yes, it is.
Tidings, citizen. What can I do for you?
Any new
The
rumors?
Fighters Guild is recruiting again. Not a bad way to make some money, if you've got the stones for it.
Any rumors?
The Fighters Guild is recruiting again. Not a bad way to make some money, if you've got the stones for it.
Thanks for the info.
Farewell.
Can you spare a coin?
I can spare... Oh, we could just spare his life. No, god damn it, no.
Me children will thank you for your help. Thank you, kind sir. Blessings of anew upon ye.
Blessings. So that's the Fighters Guild. Odd name.
What?
Heard anything
Are
lately?
you talking about the Emperor's murder? We have no Emperor and no heir. That's never happened before. I suppose we should all be worried. Farewell.
I've got bigger problems. Farewell. I'm not a problem. I'm an experience.
Hi. Does anyone see City Swimmer? Is he gliding beneath the silver water? Is he creeping round a corner, hugging a wall, silent as a shadow in the dark? No, I am here. I stand proud before you, City Swimmer, trainer of the prospective sneaker, the sly sliding unseen.
What do you know about this place?
Ha! Members of the Thieves Guild in our fair town? What makes you think that? Never. Absurd. Such fine law-abiding citizens are we all.
Not what I asked. What can you tell me about this Thieves Guild? I've heard of it, but I've only ever heard of it in other places. Has it really gotten bad over here?
Then you want to know about the Grey Fox.
Do we? We wish to know about the Grey Fox.
Want to learn more? Visit the waterfront district of the Imperial City. Find the Garden of Daraloth at midnight. Then ask your questions.
What the hell was that? Oh, Milius. Merging, I think. That's odd.
You too.
Never had that happen before. I don't like it. Honestly, I don't either. Finally, something we both agree on. I know, right? Stop that. It's not like I meant to. I don't like using your voice. I prefer my own. Did you seriously just sneeze? No. I think you're lying.
Fresh game.
By the power of the Nine, let me resist this bowel beast. Are you there? He's gone! All it took was praying to the nine. Oh, praise you all. Praise all you nine. I'm so grateful. Why am I sniffing? I don't know, I feel so good. Why? I think I need to dunk my head below water, cool down.
The Gilgondra really wants to run Silver Hole on the water. He never seems happy when he's there.
I learned that he'd rather be a painter. Still, he runs the place well.
Interesting. Stop talking.
Need to be better. That actually helped a bit. Now that I have my head straight.
Yes? Hail.
Let's go to the store.
You'll always get a fair deal here. I'm Nillowin. What can I get you?
Medicine, if you have it. Maybe a bit of food.
I offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil.
I could use some of that right now.
A fine bargain for you. I wouldn't make that deal with just anybody. Fine transaction. An excellent. That's a fair deal. another satisfied customer.
What can you tell me of your lovely town?
What's a pretty young thing like me doing in this swamp town? I inherited the business from my late husband, and I aim to make it work.
That's good to know. Anything interesting happening about town?
I think we're in for some hard times. The death of Uriel Septim and his heirs changes everything.
Thanks for the info. I feel better. Hopefully, I can find a ruin or dungeon to explore before turning in the day or night. That, I swear, this armor really is powerful when I'm not being mentally destroyed. Hope with this mana can keep me sane longer. Still under away. You can't talk. I'm pretty sure I dealt with that. And I'm glad I did. Last thing I need is that thing taking over my life. Especially if it destroys them. Hopefully. Looks like this dungeon's resting in peace. I don't have enough lockpicks to keep busting through. About time I had some food and took some medicine. Alright, where are we on my map? Alright, looks like we're headed to Leowin. Feels like all my medicine's wearing off. But it is helping. I'll admit, this sword, now that it's not controlling me, it's pretty powerful. There's probably not much that could kill me, but with my healing magics and this sword, bring it on. Oh. You want to try arrows, do you? Oh, so you know about the hammer? Well, you know, if you're gonna keep being a dick,
Why won't you?
one for good measure. What in the hell? Looks like I found today's adventure. Are you kidding? Not cool, as the kids would say. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This looks promising. Hopefully I don't get burned this time. Goodbye, rat. You filthy rat. That is disease laden, you know. I ain't trying this. I don't have the materials. To burn my lockpicks. I see a trap. I've dealt with a few already in town. Oh! I see. Thought that was a trap. Turns out it was a door opener. Seriously, if it's just rats, there's no point in sneaking around. Be gone, ye foul beast. Be gone. No point in hiding, they can't kill me. Not in Umbra's armor. Thank God I got the thing exercised by the 9. And by God, I do mean Akatosh. He's who I worship. Generally. Though the 9 total are still rather good deities, I guess. Deeper we go. Sounds like more undead to me. Really? I know it wasn't much of a dungeon, but I do seriously require some sleep after all of this. Foul beasties. me take a look at that map. Alright, you know what? I've cleared things from this area, so I'm just gonna sit down here, go to sleep. But before that, let's read a book. Oh, hey, but holy shit, no. Seriously, you were gone this entire time, pretty much, and you should back now.
I'm sorry. Like I said, got called away. Mandatory meeting of the monks.
What monks? Are you ascetic or something?
Different kind of monk.
What kind of monk?
I'm sorry, but that... I don't want to be mean and say above your pay grade, but...
What do you mean above my pay grade? You don't pay me anything. As a matter of fact, I pay you.
Well, I'm sorry. My actual job, aside from being your cameraman... Also, how is the camera still going?
Don't ask questions. Answer mine.
I'm not going to answer it because I am bound by... Let's call it mage law.
Someday, I am learning all I can about you.
You can try. By all means. You can try. So, I heard book time?
Wait, that's why you're here? Book time? Are we gonna read a book and you're gonna fuck off again?
If I get another call from the monks, I'm gonna have to go. That's how it is. Remember when I signed on to this? I told you. It even put it in the contract.
Contract's contract. At this point, I'm not happy with you. You left me in a moment of weakness.
You're fine now, aren't you?
That's not the point.
You know what? I'm not having this conversation, or rather argument with you right now. We're here to read books, so let's get to the books. After all, you hunt 'em, I read 'em.
Very well. I think we're on, like, book 4 of Baron Zaya.
I'm pretty sure of that myself. So let's do a quick skim through, see if we got this right. Hey, what happened to the other Baron Zaya books?
I sold them because I'm pretty sure we already read them.
What do you... Don't sell something that you're pretty sure we've read. You want to sell stuff that we know we've read.
Don't you get snippy with me.
I'm not the one being snippy, you're the one being snippy.
Don't you start.
You know what? Let's just read the book.
Agreed.
The Real Baron Zaya, Part 4, written by Anonymous. Everything I have ever loved, I have lost, Baron Zaya thought despondently, looking at the mounted knights behind and ahead. Her tire woman near her in a carriage. Yet I have gained a measure of wealth and power, and the promise of more to come. Dearly have I thought. Dearly have I bought it. Now I do understand better. Tiber Septim's love of it. If he has often paid such prices, for surely the worth is measured by the price we pay. Her wish, she rode on a shiny roan mare, clad as a warrior in resplendent chainmail of dark elven make. As the days slowly slipped by, and her train rode the winded road eastward into the settling sun around her, gradually rose the steep-sided mountains mountain slopes of Morrowind. The air was thin, and the chill late autumn wind blew constantly, but it was also rich without the sweet, spicy smell of the late-blooming black rose, which was native to Morrowind, and grew in every shadow, nook, and crevice of its highlands, finding the nourishment even in the stoniest banks and ridges. In small villages and towns, ragged dark elven folk gathered along the road to cry her name or simply gape. Most of her knightly escort were Redguards, with a few high elves, Nords, and Bretons. As they wove their way into the heart of Morrowind, they grew increasingly uncomfortable and clung together in protective clusters. Even the elven knights seemed wary, but Baranzaya felt at home. At last, she felt the welcome extended to her by the land. Her land. Samachus met her at the Mournhold border with an escort of knights, about half of whom were dark elven, in imperial battle dress, she had noted. There was a grand parade of entry into the city, and speeches of welcome from stately dignitaries. "We've had the Queen's suite refurbished for you," the general told her later when they reached the palace. "But you may change anything and not to your tastes, of course." He went on about the details of the coronation, which was to be held in a week. He was his old commanding self, but she sensed something else as well. He was eager for her approval of the arrangements. Was in fact fishing for it. That was new. He had never required her commendation before. He asked her nothing about it, her stay in the Imperial City, or of her affair with Tiber Septim, although Baranzai was certain Drelane had told him, or earlier, written him, everything, and in detail. The ceremony itself, like so much else, was a mixture of old and new. Parts of it from ancient dark elven traditions of Mournhold, the others dedicated by imperial decree. She was sworn to the service of the Empire and Tiber Septim, as well as to the land of Mournhold and its people. She accepted onto this fealty and allegiance from the people, the nobility, and the council. This last was composed of a blend of imperial emissaries, advisors they were called, and native representatives of the Mournhold people, who were mostly elders in accordance with elven custom. Baranzaya had later found that much of her time was occupied in attempting to reconcile these two factions and their cronies. The elders were expected to do most of the conciliating, in light of reforms introduced by the Empire pertaining to land ownership and surface farming. But most of these went clean against dark elven observances. Tiber Septim, in the name of the One, had ordained a new tradition, and apparently even the gods and goddesses themselves were expected to obey. Apologies, I may need a bit of water. The new queen threw herself into her work and her studies. She was through with love and men for a long, long time, if not forever. There were other pleasures, she discovered, as much as had promised her long ago. Those of the mind and those of power. She developed surprisingly, for she had always rebelled against her tutors at the Imperial City. A deep love for dark elven history and mythology, a hunger to know more fully the people from whom she had sprung. She was gratified to learn that they had been proud warriors and skilled craftsmen and cunning mages since time immemorial. Tiber Septim lived for another half a century, during which she saw him on several occasions. On several occasions, as she was bidden to the Imperial City on one reason of state or another. He greeted her with warmth during these visits, and they even had long talks together about events in the Empire when opportunity would permit. He seemed to have quite forgotten that there had ever been anything between them more than easy friendship and a profound political alliance. He changed a little as the years passed. Rumor had it that his mages had developed spells to extend his vitality, and even the one had granted to him immortality. Then one day a messenger came with news that Tiber Septim was dead, and his grandson Pelagius was now emperor in his place. I had heard the news in private. She and Symmachus, the sometime imperial general, and now her trusted prime minister, took it stoically, as he took most everything. Somehow it doesn't seem possible, Baronziah said. I told you, it is the way of humans. They are short-lived. It doesn't really matter. His power lives on, and his son now wields it. You called him a friend once. Do you feel nothing? No grief? He shrugged. There was a time when you could call him somewhat more. What do you feel, Baronziah? They had long ago ceased to address each other in private by their formal titles. Emptiness, loneliness, she said. Then she too shrugged. But that's not new. I know, he said softly, taking her hand. Baronziah. He turned her face up and kissed her. The act filled her with astonishment. She couldn't remember his ever touching her before. She never thought of him in that way, and yet, undeniably, an old familiar warmth spread through her. She'd forgotten how good it felt, that warmth. Not the scorching heat she'd felt with Tiber Septim, but the comforting, robust ardor she somehow associated with straw. Straw. Poor Straw. She hadn't thought of him in so long. He'd be middle-aged now if he were even still alive. Probably with a dozen children, she thought affectionately, and a hearty wife who hopefully could talk for the two. Marry me, Baronziah, Symmachus was saying. He seemed to have picked up her thoughts on marriage, children, wives. I've worked and toiled and waited long enough, haven't I? Marriage. A peasant with peasant dreams. The thought appeared in her mind clear and unbidden. Hadn't she used those very same words to describe straw? So very long ago, and yet, why not? If not Symmachus, who else? Many of the great noble families of Morrowind had been wiped out in Tiber Septim's great war of unification. Before the treaty, dark elven rule had been restored. It was true, but not the old, not the true nobility. Most of them were upstarts like Samachis, and not even half as good or deserving as he was. He had fought to keep Mournhold whole and hale when their so-called counselors would have picked at its bones, sucked them dry as Ebonheart had been sucked dry. He'd fought for Mournhold, fought for her, while she and the kingdom grew and thrived. She felt a sudden rush of gratitude and undeniably affection. He was steady and reliable, and he served her well and loved her well. "Why not?" she said, smiling, and took his hand and kissed him. The union was a good one, in its political as well as personal aspects. While Tiber Septim's grandson, the Emperor Pelagius I, viewed her with a jaundiced eye, his trust in his father's old friend was absolute. Samachis, however, was still viewed with suspicion by Marwyn's stiff-necked folk, chary at his peasant ancestry and his close ties to the Empire, but the Queen was quite unshakably popular. "The Lady Baranzia's one of our own," it was whispered, "held captive as we." Baranzia felt content. There was work, and there was pleasure, and what more could one ask of life? The years passed swiftly, with crises to be dealt with, and storms and famine and failures to be weathered, and plots to be foiled, and conspirators to be executed. Mournhold prospered steadily, her people were secure and fed, her mines and farms productive. All was well, save for the royal marriage had produced no children and no heirs. Elven children are slow to come, and most demanding of their welcome, and noble children more so than any others. Thus many decades had come to pass before they grew concerned. "The fault lies with me, Samachis. I'm damaged goods." Baranzai said bitterly, "If you want to take another..." "I want no other." Oh, let me reread that. "The fault lies with me, Samachis. I'm damaged goods," Baranzai said bitterly. "If you want to take another..." "I want no other," Samachis said gently. "Nor do I know for certain that the fault is yours. Perhaps it is mine, Whichever, we will seek a cure. If there is damage, surely it will be repaired." "How so? When do we dare not entrust anyone with the true story? Healers' oaths do not always hold." "It won't matter if we change the time and circumstance a bit. Whatever we say, or fail to say, the storyteller never rests. The gods' intervention, mind, and quick tongue are ever busy spreading gossip and rumor." Priests, healers, mages came and went, but all their prayers, potions, phylacteries produced not even a promise of bloom, let alone a single fruit. Eventually, they thrust it from their minds and left it in the gods' hands. They were yet young, as elves went, with centuries ahead of them. There was time. With elves, there was always time. Baranzia sat at dinner in the great hall, pushing food about on a plate, feeling bored and restless as Samachis was away, having been summoned to the imperial city by Tiber Septim's great-great-grandson, Uriel Septim. Or was it his great-great-great-grandson? At this point, she had lost count. But she realized their faces seemed to blur one into the next. Perhaps she should have gone with him, but there'd been the delegation from tear on a tiresome matter that nevertheless required rather delicate handling. A bard was singing in an alcove off the hall, but Baronziah wasn't listening. Lately, all the songs seemed the same to her, whether new or old. Then a turn of phrase caught her attention. He was singing of freedom, adventure, and of freeing Morrowind from its chains. How dare he! How dare he! Baronziah sat up straight and turned to glare at him. Worse, she realized he was singing of some ancient and now immaterial war with the Skyrim Nords, praising the heroism of King Edward and Moralaine and their brave companions. The tale was old enough, certainly, yet the song was new, and its meaning, Baronziah couldn't be sure. A bold fellow, this bard, but with a strong, passionate voice and a good ear for music. Rather handsome, too, in a raffish sort of way. He didn't look to be well off exactly, nor was he all that young. Certainly he couldn't be under a century of age. Why hadn't she heard of him before? Or at least heard of him? Who is he? She inquired of a lady in waiting. The woman shrugged and said, "Calls himself Nightingale, milady. No one seems to know anything else about him. Bid him speak with me when he is done." The man called Nightingale came to her, thanked her for the honor of the Queen's audience, and the fat purse she handed him. His manner wasn't bold at all, she decided. Rather quiet and unassuming. He was quick enough with gossip about others, but she learned nothing about him. He turned all questions away with a joking riposte or a ribald tale. Yet these were recounted so charmingly it was impossible to take offense. "My true name, milady, I am no one. No, my parents named me no one. Or was it nobody? What matters it? It matters not. How many parents give names to which they know not? Ah, I believe that was the name. No, not. I have been the Nightingale for as long as I do remember. Since, last month at the very... or was it last week? All my memory goes into song and tale, you see, my lady. I've none left for myself. I'm really quite dull. Where was I born? Why, nowhere. I plan to settle in the Dunraumen when I get there, and I am in no hurry." "I see. And will you then marry a tall sure? Very perceptive of you, milady. Perhaps. Although I find Ines quite charming too, at whiles." "Ah, fickle you are then." "Like the wind, milady. I blow hither and yon, hot and cold, as chance suits. Chance is my sweet. Naught else wears well on me." Baronziah smiled. "Stay with us a while, then, if you will, my lord. Heretic." "As you wish, milady bright." After that brief exchange, Baronziah found her interest in life somehow rekindled. All that had seemed stale became fresh and new again. She greeted each day with zest, looking forward to conversations with the Nightingale and the gift of his song. Unlike other bards, he never sang her praises nor other women's, but only of high adventure and bold deeds. When she asked him about this, he said, What greater praise of your beauty could you ask, milady, than that of which your own mirror gives you? And if words you would have those of the greatest, and those greater than Mark Hallow's self. How should I vie with them, I who was born but a week gone by? For once they were speaking privately. The queen, unable to sleep, had summoned him to her chamber, that his music might soothe her. You are lazy and a coward, Sarah. Else I hold no charm for you. Milady, I praise you, I must know you. To praise you, milady, to praise you, I must know you. I have never known you. You are wrapped in enigma, in clouds of enchantment. Nay, not so. Your words are what weave enchantment. Your words and your eyes and your body. Know me if you will. Know me if you will. Know me if you dare. He came to her then. They lay close, kissed, and embraced. Not even Baron Zaya. Not even Baron Zaya truly knows Baron Zaya. He whispered softly. So how may I, milady? You seek and know it not, nor yet for what? What would you have that you have not? Passion, she answered back. Passion and children born of it. And for your children, what? What birthright might be theirs? Freedom, she said. The freedom to be what they would be. Tell me, you who seem wisest to the eyes and ears, and the soul that knits them, where might I find these things? One lies behind you, the other beneath you. But would you dare stretch out your hand that you might take what could be yours, and your children's? Symmachus. In my person lies the answer to part of what you seek. The other lies hidden below us, in these your very kingdom's minds, that which will grant us the power to fulfill and achieve our dreams, that which Edward and Moraline, between them, used to free High Rock and their spirits from the hateful domination of the Nords. If it be properly used, milady, none may stand against it. Not even the power of the Emperor not even the power that the Emperor controls. Freedom, you say, Baron Zaya. Freedom it gives from the chains that bind you. Think on it, milady. He kissed her again, softly, and withdrew. You are not leaving? She cried out. Her body had yearned for him. For now, he said, pleasures of the flesh are not outside, are nothing beside what we might have together. I would have you think on what I have just said. I don't need to think. What must we do? What preparations must be made? Why, none. The mines may not be entered freely, it is true, but the Queen at my side, who will stand athwart. Once below, I can guide you to where this thing lies, and lift it from its resting place. Then the memory of her endless studies slid into place. The Horn of Summoning, she whispered in awe. Is it true? Could it be? How do you know? I've read that it's buried beneath the measureless caves of Daggerfall. Nay, long have I studied this matter, ere his death King Edward gave the horn for safekeeping into the hands of his old friend King Morlane. He in turn secreted it here in Mournhold under the guardianship of the god Effin, whose birthplace in Bollywick this is. Now you know that it has cost me many a long year and weary mile to discover. But the god, what of a fen? Trust me, my lady's heart, all is well. Laughing softly, he blew her a last kiss and was gone. On the morrow, they passed the guards at the great portal that led into the mines and further below. Under the pretense of her customary tour of inspection, Baronzaya, unattended but for the Nightingale, ventured into the cavern after subterranean cavern. Eventually, they reached what looked like a forgotten sealed doorway, and upon entering, found that it led to an ancient part of the workings. Long abandoned, the going was treacherous, for some of the old shafts had collapsed, and they had to clear a passage through the rubble, or find a way around the more impassable piles. Vicious rats and huge spiders scurried here and there, sometimes even attacking them, but they proved no match for Baronzaya's firebolt spells, and for the Nightingale's quick dagger. "We've been gone for too long," Baronzaya said at length. They'll be looking for us. What will I tell them?" "Whatever you please," the Nightingale laughed. "You are the queen, aren't you?" "The Lord Samochis. The peasant obeys whoever holds power. Always has, always will. We shall hold the power, my lady love." His lips were sweetest wine, his touch both fire and ice. "Now," she said, "take me now. I'm ready." Her body seemed to hum, every nerve and muscle taut. "Not yet, not here, not like this." He waved around, indicating the aged, dusty debris and grim walls of rock. "Just a little while longer." Reluctantly, Baronzaya nodded her assent, and they resumed walking. "Here," he said at last, pausing before a blank barrier. "Here it lies." He scratched a rune in the dust, his other hand waving a spell as he did so. The wall appeared to dissolve as it revealed an entrance to some ancient shrine. In the midst stood a statue of a god, hammer in hand, poised above an adamantium anvil. "By my blood, Effin!" the Nightingale cried. "I bid thee waken. Mornslene's heir of Ebonheart am I, last of the royal line, share of thy blood. At Morrowind's last need, with all of elfendom and dread, peril of their selves and souls, release me that guerdon which thou guards. Now I do bid thee, strike!" At the final word, the statue glowed and quickened. The blank stone eye shone bright red. The massive head nodded. The hammer smote the anvil, and it split asunder with a thunderous crash. The stone god itself crumbled. Baronzaya clapped her hands over her ears and crouched down, shaking terribly and moaning out loud. The Nightingale strode forward boldly and collapsed the thing that lay amongst the ruins with a roar of ecstasy and lifted it high. "Someone's coming!" Baronzaya cried in alarm, then noticed for the first time what it was he was holding aloft. "Wait, that's not a horn. It's a staff." "Indeed, my lady, you see truly at last." The Nightingale laughed aloud.
I am sorry, milady sweet, but I must leave you now. Perhaps we shall meet again one day. Until then... until then, Sir Marchus,
he said to the mail-clad figure who had appeared behind them.
She's all yours. You may claim her back.
No! Baronziah screamed as she sprang up and ran toward him, but he was gone, winked out of existence, just as Samachus, claymore drawn, reached him. His blade cleaved a single stroke through empty air. Then he stood still, as if taking the stone god's place. Baronziah said nothing, heard nothing, saw nothing, felt nothing. Samachus told the half-dozen or so elves who had accompanied him that the Nightingale and Queen Baronziah had lost their way, and had been set upon by giant spiders, and the Nightingale had lost his footing and fallen into a deep crevice, which closed over him, that his body could not be recovered, that the Queen had been badly shaken by the encounter, and deeply mourned the loss of her friend, whom had fallen in her defense. Such was Samachus' presence and power of command, that the slack-jawed knights, none of whom had caught more than a glimpse of what happened, were convinced that it was all exactly as he had said. The Queen was escorted back to the palace, and taken to her chamber, whereupon she dismissed her servants in waiting. She sat still before her mirror for a long time, shunned, too distraught even to weep. Samachus stood watching over her.
Do you have any idea at all what you have just done? He said finally. You should have told me. You should have told me, Baronziah whispered. The Staff of Chaos? I never dreamed it lay there.
I'm mixing up these people so bad.
A Staff of Chaos. I never dreamed it lay there, he said.
He said. A mewling escaped her lips, and she doubled over in despair. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? What happens now? What's to become of me? Of us?
Did you love him?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, my Samachus, the gods have mercy on me. I do not love him. But now, I don't know. I'm not sure. Samachus' hard-lined face softened slightly, and his eyes glittered with new light, and he sighed.
That's something else, then. You will become a mother yet, if it's within my power. As for the rest, Baronziah, my dearest Baronziah, I expect you have loosed a storm upon the land. It'll be a while yet in the brewing, but when it comes, we'll weather it together, as we always have.
He came over to her then.
I'm sorry, is that a cat?
I'm sorry, one of the duties that I had to pick up was to take care of a phantom cat.
Phantom cat?
Now, don't mind it. It's just for a little while.
Oh, good lord. I hate your monk thing.
Now, where was I? I didn't expect the cat to pop out of my little dimension I put for it. Goddamn magical cats. Samach's hard-lined face softened slightly, and his eyes glittered with a new light, and he said,
Aye, that's something then. You will become a mother yet, if it's within my power. As for the rest, Baronziah...
Oh, yeah, I've read that. Apologies. I blame my magical cat that I have to take care of.
You should blame it on yourself for saying you'll take care of the cat.
I'm sorry, but I didn't agree. It was thrust on me by the Grand Master. It's the Grand Master's cat. He came over to her then, and stripped her of her clothing, carried her to bed. Out of grief and longing, her enfeebled body responded to his brawny one as if it never had before, pouring forth all that the nightingale had weakened to life in her, and in doing so calmed the restless ghosts of all he had destroyed. She was empty and emptied, and then she was filled, for a child was planted and grew within her. As her son flourished in the womb, so did her feelings toward patient, faithful, devoted Symmachus, which had been rooted in long friendship and unbroken affection, and which now, at last, ripped into the fullness of true love. 8 years later, they were again blessed, this time with a daughter. Directly after the Nightingale's theft of the Staff of Chaos, Symmachus had sent urgent secret communiques to Uriel Septim. He had not gotten himself, as he would normally have, choosing instead to stay with Berenziah during her fertile period to father a son upon her. For this and for the theft he suffered Uriel Septim's temporary disfavor and unjust suspicion. Spies were sent in search of the thief, but the Nightingale seemed to have vanished where he had come, wherever that was. Dark elfin part, perhaps, said Berenziah, but part human too, I think, in disguise. Else why would I have come so quickly to fertility? Part elf, for sure, and the ancients of...
Part dark elf, sure, and the ancient Ratham lineage at that, else he would not have been able to free the staff,
Symmachus reasoned. He turned to peer at her fixedly.
I don't think he would have lain with you as an elf. He did not dare. For when he would not have been able to part from you,
he smiled. Then he turned serious once more. All he knew,
the staff lay there, not the horn, and that he must teleport to safety. The staff is not a weapon. That would have seen him clear, unlike the horn. Pray to the gods, at least, that he does not have that. It seems it was all as he expected, but how he did not know. I placed the staff there myself with the aid of a ragtail, with a ragtail end of the Ratham clan. Now sits a king in castle, Ebonheart as reward. Tiber Septim claimed that horn, but left the staff for safekeeping. All now the Nightingale. Now the Nightingale can use the staff to sow seeds of strife and dissension wherever he goes, if he wishes, yet that alone will not grant him power. That lies in the horn and the ability to use it. I'm not so sure its power. The Nightingale seeks
Berenziah said. Imagine that was in Berenziah's voice, please.
You're fucking up so hard.
I'm trying my best.
All seek power, Symmachus said, each in our own way.
Not I, she answered. Not I, my lord, have found that for which I sought. was a good reading.
It wasn't bad. Wish your magical cat, magical Grandmaster Cat, didn't show up 3/4 through the book.
I couldn't help that. Cat goes where it wants.
But it was a good read. And I'm learning more about Baron Zaya. That Nightingale's a dick. But he probably has his reasons. So I'm going to sleep. Good night.
Good night. So, without any further ado, have a great day and continue to have your best week. Because the Book Hunter and Smabb are out. See ya.
See you later. God damn it!